1. I work as a host and server in a popular pizza restaurant. This story happened yesterday night and it still makes me angry to think about. I was on a hosting shift and everything is pretty normal for the most part. Occasionally, I'd have to tell someone, "Hey, would you mind wearing your mask whenever you're not at your table?" At this point it happens much less than when we first opened up. Then these two ding-dongs, I don't want to call them something meaner in case it offends anybody, walk in, and to give just a light description of them, they're definitely not healthy. So they walk in without masks, of course, and I ask them if they have masks. No. Sorry guys, masks are required to dine in. We'll be happy to serve you, but you need to order carry-out instead. Can't you just see that real quickly? Sorry, in order to walk through the restaurant, you need a mask, which includes walking to a table. At this point, a separate group of about 8 people walk in, and my city began to recommend a limit of 6 people at a table. I let them know, and they're cool with it. Really nice mixed family that tipped like 30% on a $126 bill. All the while this is happening, the two dudes are just talking to each other in a corner, and then retreat outside. I sit the party and go back to the front desk. A minute later, the guys walk back in, and one has a mask now. I thought you told me you didn't have a mask, bud. I ask the other one if he has one, and what he said next still angers me so much. Hey, bud, do you have a mask?
I have a medical condition.
Okay, sure, here's your table then. I am so pissed at myself for letting them sit. I've seen stuff in other places about how to combat these kinds of people, but all that info eluded me. I told my manager immediately and explained what happened and asked him if there was something better I can do, and he said I did the best thing in the situation because, in case they decided to get rough, I would have been floored. My manager actually told their server and to give them bad service and purposely walked by their table, took off his mask and coughed. There was no one else in the dining room at this point, so it was safe to do so. They tipped 20%, but that still doesn't exclude how garbage they are. I just never thought that I would encounter this type of person because I work in a really nice and progressive city. It makes me so mad that there are such ignorant people out there who would just not be mindful of the social climate right now. Whether you believe in wearing a mask or not, respect your goddamn neighbors and wear one, you ding-dong. Does anyone know for sure a way to disarm someone who does this? Preferably a way that won't get me picked up and thrown across the floor or yelled at by a Karen. 2. Weird one recently. We're still at 95% takeout and delivery only, because we can't really accommodate outdoor dining at scale. When this happened, my job was pretty much entirely processing takeout orders and handing bags to delivery guys. Besides the occasional, "Oh hey, we're still closed, but we have takeout and delivery options" conversation. Up to this, people had been really understanding about it. We did have some regulars, though, who were clearly getting impatient and came back every couple of days. Even when we told them, "You'll know you can eat inside the same time we know, as soon as the governor makes an announcement about it." They seemed slightly annoyed with us for not flouting the public health mandates for their convenience. We always offered them one of the 2 tables we've crowded onto the sidewalk to try and make some money from outdoor dining, but unsurprisingly, no one ever wants to sit there. So that day I was taking orders, chilling. It was pretty slow, winding down between meals. An older couple, a couple of men, came in. Started pulling one of our tables in from the street. I called from across the room, "Oh, actually we aren't doing dine-in right now. Still pick up and delivery only, unless you'd like to sit outside." One man said, "Oh, we have a takeout order," but his husband kept pulling the table inside and the other was going back for chairs. It was really hot out, so I figured maybe they'd only just called in the order and wanted a place to sit in the air conditioning while we prepared their food. They did look to be at least 65 or 70 after all, and they had masks on, so it was no big deal. I asked them for name on their takeout order and they gave it to me. They had actually ordered quite a while ago and their food was ready. They paid over the phone, so I handed them their bags and said bye. One of the men asked if I had included plates and silverware. We haven't been lately, because people are usually taking the food home, but whatever. We're always happy to have asked. I grabbed them some, yeah, I should have seen that was coming at this point. So of course, that's when it got weird. They carried the bag over to their inside table, unpacked it, laid out their plates and silverware, and started eating the takeout food in the restaurant. I couldn't believe it at first. I thought I must be misunderstanding, and there's no way they could be that brazen. Especially since not only do we have signs around and no tables out, but these health mandates are in place especially to protect older guys like them. I stood up and said, "Excuse me, gentlemen, you can't eat in the restaurant. We can seat you with outdoor dining if you want, otherwise you have to leave now." They stared at me blankly, and like all of these guys, they went, No, it's a takeout order, we have a bag. You saw us." They thought they were so smart with this loophole. The other guy even said, "It's not like we're getting any service. You didn't even offer us water or anything." So I sighed and explained, whether it's takeout from here or a sandwich from the gas station, we can't have people eating inside our establishment right now. I don't make the rules, so trust me, nothing is gained from making your case with me. Please just come back when we're open. It should be any day now. The guys continued ignoring me, and I don't know what they thought that would accomplish. I got up and walked over there and explained, "Look, it's not safe to have you guys in here eating without masks on right now. Not for us working in here, and definitely not for you either. Please leave." They started giving this impassioned plea about, "We haven't had a proper sit-down date in weeks. And we really just need to get out of the house and share a meal, but it's so hot out. We're so sick of cooking." Now, I understand why they wouldn't want to eat outside on the crowded sidewalk in scorching hot weather. But in that case, they should have just gone home, or sat in the shade in the park, or whatever the rest of the world is doing to cope. We could be audited by the state at any moment, and if we are found to be violating the policies, we'd be fined heavily. And we're already hemorrhaging money from lost business as it is. Plus, if my boss saw me letting people eat inside, he'd just fire me on the spot. Because if we got fined on his watch, his boss would fire him. I explained this to them, and when they realized their woe-is-me sob story wasn't working, their candor changed real quick.
"Do you know how many people the flu kills a year? Do you see people shutting their businesses down over that? And if you could have people eating on the sidewalk, there's no reason you can't have them inside. We're the only ones in here. You're discriminating against us because of our age and because we can't eat comfortably in the heat. The news will hear about this."
All the while, they're still eating. As the poet Robert Ritchie said, "I was born at night, but not last night." I realized they were planning to argue with me until they'd finished their meal so they could stay inside. So eventually I stopped trying to go back and forth with them and just said, "We've completed your transaction. I've asked you to leave. You haven't. Leave now or I'm going to have to call the police and have you trespassed." As I was saying it, I realized I shouldn't have, because on a regular non-pandemic day, I would have to check with someone more senior before calling the cops on a customer. But no one more senior in the front of house was coming in to work, so now I wasn't sure what to do. I decided to confer with the only real friend I have on the staff. I called into the kitchen for a line cook I'm tight with who has some busing experience, so kind of front of house. "Lenny, there's some guys in here who dragged a table up and they won't leave. Should I call the cops?" Lenny is as tall as a house and moonlights for an industrial moving company, so he's got a massive build. I don't know too much about where he comes from, I just know it's pretty impossible to rattle him. He came out, I guess expecting to see some punk kids or scary meth heads. Instead, he just sees these old coots eating salads. He looked at me like I was crazy, so I explained what was going on. Then, totally emotionless, Lenny barreled over, picked up their table, still covered in food, walked it right out of the door and dropped it onto the sidewalk. The old guys were fussing and fighting, But however they tried to hold the table down didn't wobble Lenny's grip in the slightest. They ran out to drag it back in, but he locked the door behind them with the spare key we keep close by. They pounded on the door for a while, and filmed me ignoring them. But eventually they just kicked the table over with most of their own food that they paid for still on top, and left. They're banned now, more for the colossal mess they made on the sidewalk than anything else, and I bought Lenny a beer after his shift. 3. I work in a restaurant that is currently open inside, and we are doing curbside takeout. Tonight I was on takeout. My coworker put an order in, and when the person came in, I decided to go out and take them their order. So I happily walk outside with an order and go up to the car. It's a couple. The girlfriend is in the driver's seat and the boyfriend is in the passenger. I do the normal pleasantries and tell the woman how much the order is. I see her counting her money and her boyfriend getting irritated. So I stand there for a minute and wait for the money. As I'm waiting, the boyfriend asks if there is extra butter. I ask what kind and tell him I can get him some. I hand the bag to the lady and wait there for her to give me the money so I can go get change and the butter together to save time. Not 20 seconds after handing her the bag, the boyfriend screams at me, "Just go get the fucking butter while she counts!" I'm obviously shook, but I'm not about to lose my job over some ass. So I walk away, obviously irritated. I go get the butter, come back outside and give them the butter. The woman now has a card instead of cash in her hand. She says, "You don't have a card reader?" Meaning a portable one. I say no in the nicest possible way after just being cursed at. They both just stare at me like I'm lying. The boyfriend keeps going, "I swear you had a card machine. We swear we saw it." At this point, I'm a little irritated and say, "Well, I don't have one. We've never had them." The woman grabs her cash. Of course, it's all crumbled and out of order. She then tells me there's whatever amount of money there and then hands me $5 more, since she didn't think it was enough. While she's doing this, the boyfriend is screaming about who knows what and would not break eye contact with me. I walk inside to get the change and tell my coworkers, today might be the day I get fired. I'm trying hard right now, but who knows? So I get the change. It's $3 and change. I walk back out to the car and hand the woman the change. I will admit I was definitely irritated, but in no way was I outwardly rude to her. I hand her the money and quickly say, "Here's your change, have a good night." And I quickly walk away since it's easier for me to leave the situation than get in an argument with some dipshit. As I'm walking fast back into the restaurant, the boyfriend runs out of the car and walks in the restaurant door as I'm opening it and essentially screams, "Where's your manager? I need to talk to your manager!" At this point, I'm royally pissed in a bitchy tone. I say, "Of course, 1 second, let me find her." My boss is standing in the dining room and hears this, as does the entire restaurant. I walk into the kitchen knowing he's about to complain about me, so I decide to stay in the kitchen till he's done. When in the kitchen, I could hear him loudly talking about how rude I was. All of my coworkers notice, of course, and ask me what happened. My manager came to the back looking at me like I'm crazy. She asked me what happened, so I told her. She believes me, and informs me that this man said that I was just so rude and that I had no patience. You could see how irritated I was with just my facial expressions. Mind you, I have a mask covering everything but my eyes and forehead. He went on to say that I was just so rude and never gave them their change. So this man lied to my boss, tells her I'm just terrible, and that I stole his money. He wasn't even the person who gave me the money or who I gave the change to, so how would he know? When she told me this, I lost my mind. I'm stealing your fucking $3? My boss believes me, and I even say go look at the cameras. My bosses didn't care and essentially said they were proud of me for not flipping out on him when he screamed and cursed at me. The worst part is, this man told my boss that he works in a restaurant and knows how it is, but it was no excuse for me to act the way I did. All right. You definitely work in a restaurant if you're bloody murder screaming at me for some fucking extra butter. 4. We're going through a shift change and my replacement had just came in. I had rung in some stuff for 2 tables, but I just wanted to go on my lunch break. In the restaurant I work at, a manager can transfer tabs from one server to another in the system. We have a to-go station at the front of our restaurant, and the host stand is also close to said go station, which includes 2 point-of-sale computers. The manager is standing there along with another coworker of mine, and I ask him to transfer my tables. He says sure, he just needs to head to the office real quick and grab his card. No big deal, I can wait a minute. While I'm waiting for the manager, I turn to my coworker and start some small talk with her. I was telling her about something with my niece, when I was rudely cut off by a wild Karen.
Hello, are you guys done shitting the shits? Or are you going to help me?
To which I calmly replied, "Oh, I'm so sorry, is there something I can help you with?" She pointed to another young man who had been there before her, and said I should help him out first. He was picking up a to-go order, so I took him to the to-go station to speak to them. I came back to the lady and asked her if she was looking to be seated. She uncrosses her arms to angrily point to a table in the bar area and says, "We want that table, but they said they need to clean it. It looks clean to me. Why can't you see it as there?" At this point, the host comes back to the host stand and explains that they were currently disinfecting it. Where I live, we currently have to bus tables like normal, then spray the table and its surroundings, chairs, pictures hanging near it, and whatever else is around the table, with this disinfectant spray. Let it sit for 2 minutes, and then wipe it off before we can reseat the table. So upon hearing that the table was being disinfected, I said, "The bussers are disinfecting your table right now. Is there anything else I can help you with?" Her sour face mellowed out a bit, and the manager got back from the office, and I walked back to the computer to get my tabs transferred. I warned the manager that he would likely get a complaint from her and explained what happened. I shit you not, I was still hearing about how bitchy the wild Karen was for at least a solid hour after I came back from my lunch, and it wasn't even from the servers that actually helped her. It made me laugh because this lady truly believes that every single one of us was there to attend her, hand and foot. And I deflected her crap with some level-headed professionalism. No way I was going to allow her to sour my mood before lunch. 5. Many moons ago, I worked in a pizza restaurant. One afternoon, a woman came in for lunch, and she had her baby with her. I was about to call her Mama Karen. Immediately after ordering lunch at the counter, Mama Karen picks out her table and immediately stormed back up to me, thrusting a full baby bottle in my face, demanding I microwave it for however long she wanted it heated up for. I apologetically told her that we do not have a microwave, and her response was to demand to know how it was that we were sans microwave, probably loud enough to be heard at the public library 3 blocks away. Just as a by the way, owing to Mama Karen's brusqueness, if we'd had a microwave, I may have acted like we did not have one, or that we weren't allowed to heat up outside food and beverages. I calmly explained to Mama Karen that we don't have a microwave because we don't need one, as all of our hot food is cooked to order in the pizza oven. She then loudly demanded to know what we do on our breaks without the access to a microwave. I gave her a dumbfounded look as I could not figure out if it was any of her concern what we did on our breaks, and what we did or did not eat on our breaks. I then said, clearly we do not bring in our own food if it would need to be microwaved. She then loudly demanded to know if the hoagie shop next door had a microwave. I gave her a dumbfounded look yet again, replying, I have no idea, as I do not work for them, and do not shop there on a regular basis. All this time, her baby was in a car seat, which was perched on the bench attached to the table her mother had chosen. Mama Karen then began walking out the front door, carrying only the bottle, presumably to go to the hoagie shop next door, calling out over her shoulder, "You're watching the baby!" I felt only a little badly for wondering where a kidnapper could be found when one really needs one. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Spinning Plates, episode 110. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. I'd like to give a shout out to Vlange15, the author of the story with the butter. I don't want to speculate on what that person was using all that butter for, but they would probably have been better off visiting a pharmacy. Right, now I also have a super duper pooper special shout out. I want to say happy birthday to subscriber Ross. Ross is 18 today. He's a big boy now. He can do all the important big boy stuff. So, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ross. Happy birthday to you. Okay, and with that, I think we're going to wrap it up there. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.